So, hello, people of the internet. Hi. Let me get straight to the meat, straight to the point, and just say that, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, which I don't know which title I will put yet, but I know that it's to the point. I'm here today to rant about the recent happenings, the recent drama, the recent controversy, whatever you want to call it, with the H3 podcast. So, it's been, I don't know, kind of a week-ish, right? Ever since this whole thing started. And in case you missed it, or in case you forgot, because I understand that the internet moves quite fast, and, things that were relevant yesterday stop being relevant real quick. So let me just, I guess do a quick recap, and then I'll get more into it later. Ethan Klein, the host of the H3 podcast, made some jokes about bottoms, which in the gay scene, it refers to the people who are on the bottom sexually, so the people who receive in a gay relationship. And this started some criticism, of course, that was expressed towards them, and all these thoughts were met with pretty much him doubling down. He did apologize, but I think that me and a lot of people, but a lot of people and me did not appreciate the way that he went about it. This whole thing, it just was bad vibes all around. And yeah, I'm just here to talk about it, because let me preface this. Okay, let me, I guess, make a disclaimer. I am a fan. Okay, I'm not a hater of the podcast. I actually I really love the podcast. It has brought me a lot of laughter. It has brought me a lot of entertainment. I have watched pretty much every episode ever since Frenemies started, and that's a whole other thing that I'll get to in a second. But yeah, I'm not ranting here today because I hate Ethan and I love to see him, fall or whatever. But I really just want to express my discomfort with the way that this H3 community has been dealing with criticism and just expressing thoughts that do not align with Ethan's, and being critical of Ethan's actions or stances or whatever, because it's just been really uncomfortable to me. So as I have said, I watched every episode since Frenemies, which does indeed mean that I started watching after Frenemies. I started watching the H3 podcast after Frenemies, and I don't know if you are familiar with the H3 subreddit, or even just honestly their comment section, their just whole community in general, but there's kind of like a, I guess, stigma against people who started being fans after Frenemies, because they're considered like the bad audience, like the sensitive audience, the drama audience. And you know what, maybe it is true, but if you were a fan when Ethan was saying all that controversial stuff about like women and the N-word, I'm judging you a little bit, okay? Like, if you were fine with that, if you weren't criticizing him even back then, I don't know, we have some problems, but whatever. Our thoughts do not align, that's fine. But I don't think that I should be like, I don't think that my opinion should matter less than yours just because I'm a quote-unquote newer fan. Which, by the way, when did Frenemies even start? Like, a year ago? 2 years ago? I don't even know. Like, ever since the pandemic, time has been fake. But I know that it's been a while, and that, like I said, ever since Frenemies broke up, I was fully on, I guess you could say Team Ethan. I did not like how Trisha acted at all. And by the way, before Frenemies, I wasn't a Trisha fan either. It was really just the show that they made together, their chemistry, the things that they talked about that got me interested. I didn't really know anything about the H3 podcast before that. I was more, hanging around the girls and gays side of YouTube. So all that, all that H3 universe, I just really didn't know a lot or care about, like Keemstar, all these characters. I don't know, and even now, honestly, I just care very little about them. But there was just something about them, even after Frenemies, that I just really liked. I loved the crew. I thought that the vibes up until recently were quite nice. And I don't know, it was just funny, all the memes, all the I don't know, I liked it. I listened to it while driving, while studying, while gaming. I found a lot of comfort in it, and that's why I am really hurt by what happened, okay? So if you still think that, I don't even know if anyone's honestly gonna watch this video, but if if you're out there watching this video and you think that I am the scum of the earth because I wasn't watching the H3 Productions channel or whatever, okay, fine, you do you, but yeah, that's just the matter of fact. And recently, when this controversy broke down, Ethan himself discussed a tweet by Cut and Barge. I hope I'm saying her name right. I don't know. As you can probably tell, I'm not a native speaker, so hopefully I am, coming across as clear as possible. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce words, but yeah. So basically, this tweet by Cut and Barge, which is a insider, right? She's an insider. She writes for Insider, okay? She's an employee of Insider, and she's written articles about David Dobrik, Trisha Paytas, so she's in that sphere. And she said something about how Ethan Klein was recruiting a gay audience, which it was very hyperbolic and dramatic, and it is clear that she also has a bone to pick with Ethan, because he and Hila kind of criticized her a little bit, but to an extent I kind of get her point, because I think the majority of the LGBTQ plus audience that they have right now may have come after Frenemies, and I think that they tried to keep it. I mean, they kept talking about people like James Charles, which obviously he was part of the beauty community, and even to a lesser degree people like Jeffree Star, and all that sphere, which was more connected to Trisha, maybe not directly, but definitely I would expect a someone who has watched Jeffree Star or James Charles in the past to know who Trisha is, rather than Ethan. It just feels like they came from two different worlds to an extent, but yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. That's why I think a lot of criticism has been just ignored, maybe, because Ethan just seems to think that the Frenemies audience is the one who's ready to criticize him or whatever for every little thing, which I don't think is the case, because obviously I can only speak for myself. I don't really have any close contacts, I guess, with other people who are fans of the show. It's really just me. I don't have any other, foot soldier friends. But like I said, I come from a very different, I don't know, area okay, area of expertise, but I love the podcast. I love the podcast, and I don't know why I'm trying so hard to justify the fact that I don't want to come across as a hater. But that's just the atmosphere that I feel has been fostered, that, just to criticize Ethan and the show, you have to first preface it by, talking about how much you love the show, that you don't actually think Ethan is homophobic, which I do not. I do not think that, but I did not like how the situation was handled at all. So maybe I'll put a clip here if I feel like editing, if it won't feel, a little spicy. But this may be my first and last video. I don't know. I just felt like making it. So yeah, Ethan just made a lot of jokes that were in poor taste, and unfortunately the butt of the joke were gay men and basically bottoms, and even before like the actual bed stuff started, which I would say the problematic stuff happened while he was taking the call, and I think the caller's name was Matt. But even before that, Ethan was, ranting and going on about how maybe James Charles was caught buying diapers on Amazon, and maybe the reason why he did was because he's a quote-unquote power bottom, and which means that he needs diapers. What? But that's just him being ignorant. That's okay. But the fact that he kept on insisting on the term power bottom was just annoying. Let's just say just a little bit annoying and grating, because he obviously kept insisting that he was right in using the term. And when people from the chat trying to correct him, or saying that man, they really need some LGBTQ plus people in the show, then he and Dan were really quick to dismiss it, which is just not the vibe. It's just not the vibe when you're a straight dude talking about terms that are used in the gay scene. You don't really want to double down on being right when you clearly are not. And at the very least, I'd try to hear other people out, because he's not an expert on this stuff. You're not a gay man. And obviously, if you do not know, a power bottom does not just mean a bottom. It's like saying that, it's like asking someone, hey, did you get here on a bike? And then they answer, no, I got here on a red car. The red part is obviously not important and not the focus of the conversation. Okay, the focus of the conversation is that he got here on a car. So if you want to talk about someone being the receiver, in a sexual relationship, then they would just be a bottom. A power bottom is someone who, he's a bottom, but he has a more dominant, there's a whole different dynamic where the bottom is the more dominant one, rather than the top, who is the more submissive, or just the less proactive, I guess, of the two. It's just a different dynamic than the traditional roles, I guess, which obviously one could say the same about straight relationships. In a traditional straight relationship, we as a society are I guess taught to expect that the woman is just the receiver and maybe the more passive one, but it's not always the case, of course, because we are human beings, we are different, and there's so many different, dynamics in relationships, and that's the same with gay relationships as well. But I'm going off on a tangent. The point is that you could already tell from this exchange that Ethan just does not seem to be open to being told that he's wrong, or to be corrected, or just having to backtrack. He just seems to be someone with the tendency to double down on his opinion and his thoughts, even after being being proven wrong or being challenged. And if you are a fan like me, which by the way, I kind of made this video to reach other fans, because I'm not here to talk about drama. I'm not a drama channel. I just literally made this channel. I would really just like to reach other fans like me, because if you're a fan, then you know what has been going on with the past like month or something. And I would say that the bad vibes, the uncomfortable aura of the podcast started back with the silly Kardashian drama. And just to refresh your memory a bit, I will recap it. And what happened was that basically this was when Kim Kardashian released the interview where she said that people nowadays, they don't want to work or whatever, they're lazy, which obviously was very tone deaf, considering that she was basically born into fame and she didn't really have to work that hard. She didn't really have to work a 9 to 5 to reach what she has. So definitely not a good look. And the crew and Ethan and Hila were debating on whether this thing that she said was fabricated to create drama and to boost, give some attention to their new season or whatever. I don't really watch the Kardashian show, but so the debate was whether it was all fake drama or it was something that she genuinely thought. And Love and AB thought that it was all fake drama. And then Ethan and Hila, they were really not budging, or well, I guess not budging is not the right word, because you can have an opinion and you can be firm in your belief while also respecting and trying to hear out different point of views, especially because this isn't something like racism or homophobia, where some point of views, they don't really get the right to be heard out. You know what I mean? This was just a stupid, pretty silly discussion about some drama. But it seemed to me and to many others that they were shutting down the opinion of AB and Love, and they were insisting that it just couldn't be, because fake drama basically doesn't exist, which okay. And they were saying that PR and stuff just doesn't work because they tried and stuff. And I do think that they felt particularly strongly about this issue, because obviously if you were a fan of Frenemies you or just watched it, you probably know that Ethan and Trisha have been accused several times of faking drama for views, and I think at this point we all know that the drama is real. So maybe that's why he felt so strongly about it. But the way that he pretty much like put himself on the same plane as the freaking Kardashians, who have created their whole brand on drama, and they have a literal reality show, which, if we know one thing about reality shows, is that there's nothing real about them. It was just not it. It was not it. But then fast forward to the Will Smith drama, the Will Smith punching Chris Rock at the Oscars drama. And that was also a big thing, which blew up a fair amount, I would say, much more than the Kardashian drama. And of course, because, the Kardashian drama was just a thing that happened, but the Will Smith situation was pretty big, all over social media, and a lot of people had a lot of opinions about it. And if you want to know my opinion, I actually agreed with Ethan. Ethan said that violence is wrong, and I agree with that. However, I do not agree with the way that he went with expressing this opinion and standing by it. He got very agitated, and he clearly felt strongly about this issue as well, even more so. And I felt that in this case he was much more disrespectful towards the crew, towards AB, who tried to, say something about it. And also the callers. Oh god, that was a whole train wreck, just uncomfortable to watch, to listen to, just bad vibes. He was just so dismissive and so rude towards the girls that were, disagreeing, or even just bringing a different perspective to the the beef, I guess, between Chris Rock and Will Smith, that it has, deep roots, I guess. It has started from before this edition of the Oscars, which I didn't know, so it was very just informative. I enjoy listening to the callers, especially the first girl. I do not remember her name, but she was so well spoken. I really thought that she was great. She expressed herself very neatly. But Ethan, I did not like his attitude at all. And then when another caller called and she was agreeing with him, then he would call her like a queen. He would say that she gets it, which is so painfully just, I don't know, why can't you just hear out people, be respectful, and then just express your opinion? Bad vibes when someone cannot give the same respect to people that have a different opinion. And once again, this is about something that is pretty, I guess, kind of a gray area, because at the end of the day, it is not a big deal. It was just celebrities beefing at the Oscars, and celebrities, they beef, okay? They have a lot of drama and stuff, and it happens, and at the end of the day, no one, between us mortals is affected by it. In a way, it was kind of part of the show, and yeah, but I do agree that it was just not it. I don't agree in general with violence as a response to this kind of thing, but on the more specific incident of just Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, I think that they live, you know what I mean. But yeah, once again, I think that Ethan felt so strongly about it because he also saw himself like Chris Rock. He felt that he is a comedian like Chris Rock, and that he makes jokes about people, and some people do get quite heated about it, but it's just such a different dynamic and a different situation, that I don't know, it was just a whole thing. But like I said, for the third time, I did agree with Ethan. I just did not agree with his attitude and the way that he talked down to the crew and the callers. At last, we are now here. We're now up to the recent James Charles diaper gate, I guess. And in this case, it was just a mess. Okay, it was just bad vibes, nothing to agree with, disrespect, bad taste, bad vibes, bad time, a bad time, just a bad time. Okay, it was just not enjoyable to watch, just uncomfortable. And that's pretty much when I think that, people started really making their criticism heard, because this was a situation where Ethan just, you could see that he refused to back down. And when it's a situation that's more subjective, it's a thing, At the end of the day, I don't think that he really deserved to be called out for the opinions themselves when it came to the Kardashian and the Chris Rock stuff, but just for being disrespectful to the crew, which I really do not stand for and I don't like. But in this case, he really doubled down to talking over the LGBTQ plus community, and making jokes on gay men. And he even went a gay male caller. I don't know why I just said it like that. I don't know, like a caller tried to educate him on this whole, top bottom dynamic, and jokes on it, and why it's frankly none of his business, and why he shouldn't associate certain characteristics with, being a top or being a bottom. Like, I cannot even fault him for this, because I understand that just being a man and growing up in this society, you are bound to grow up with some certain biases that are not even really conscious, right? About masculinity, about femininity, about, certain things. And, it is clear with certain jokes that Ethan makes about, like, quote unquote alpha males like Joe Rogan and all that stuff, all that crew, when he talks about them being bottoms or bottoming, that he thinks that you cannot be masculine and be a gay male who's also a bottom. Like, that's just not it. That's just so funny, right? Because being a bottom is like being a girl, and being a girl is so funny and so humiliating, I guess. And I know some people may say that I'm reaching and that this isn't what Ethan meant. And I agree with you. I do not think that he meant to make this connection consciously. But these are the implications, when you make certain jokes. But that's fine. I think that, no one is perfect. No one knows everything. You are bound to make mistakes and learn, especially when you are not from this space at all. He's a straight dude who mostly hangs around other straight dudes, and I cannot fault him for not knowing certain stuff. However, I can fault him for refusing to listen and refusing to reflect, I guess, or try to change and learn and grow, which is the only way that we can really better ourselves as people. When he posted the apology video, after the podcast went on and people complained, which may I remind you that people who complained, or what, complain is not really the verb I want to use, because I feel like a lot of people are really delicate to how they express their thoughts towards Ethan, especially people in the chat, like in the live chat, because those are paying members, okay? Like, they are huge fans who want to sustain the podcast with their own money. So they like the podcast. They are not haters, like, so I always find that the people who try to express certain thoughts, especially about the latest podcast, these issues that I just talked about, they always seem to be quite I guess shy about it. I don't know how else to say it. Like, just preface it by saying that they love the podcast, they love Ethan, they are huge fans, but maybe this, maybe that, maybe let's not do this. And however, the result is always the same, that Ethan lashes out, and of course he just jumps to addressing always the most extreme side of things, the most extreme criticism, which I think, of course, the majority of people do not agree with. Like, people will call them homophobe and stuff, which I don't think he is. I probably already stated it like 50 times, but just I don't think he is. Okay, I don't think he is the worst person alive just for these jokes. But however, I do think that they are problematic and they should stop, and he should apologize for it. And yes, he did apologize, but that's pretty much what brought me to making this video today, because it's not really about the jokes, because like I said, you can, do an oopsie, okay, and you can just apologize, move on, change your way, learn, be better, whatever. It's just human, to not always be on top of your game. That's fine. And especially, like we said, he's not from the space. Let's be honest, he's not very well educated, and that's fine. There's always room to learn and improve. But what his apology video showed me is that he's not willing to. He just apologized to make the I guess the criticism stop. But right after, if you noticed, he makes this very half-assed apology, like he clearly does not want to make it, but he has to. And then right after he says, but, and then he goes on to say that people who were offended are way too sensitive, which, what? Is that really how you're going to talk about the issue, like 5 seconds after apologizing? Of course that makes it seem unsincere, which, it is. Let's be honest, it was not sincere, or not completely sincere at least, because right after that he just starts talking about how, people are way too sensitive for this show. The left eats itself, which is true, but these arguments just do not make sense in this context, okay? This is just a situation where you freaked up and you should own up to it, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Just, was it so hard to apologize and move on? Apparently. But I also didn't really like how, he just apologized to, I guess, save face. I don't know. He just apologized to be able to say that he apologized. But then, the matter of fact is that he doubled down on it. So at that point, if you are not really sorry, don't say sorry. That's my personal take on it. It just really bugs me when people say that they're sorry but show otherwise, because they put themselves in a position where any other, criticism, they can just respond with, oh, but I apologized. Which, yes, you did say the words, but your actions showed otherwise, and especially the things that you brought up right after the apology. He started talking about how, yes, what he said was maybe kind of a little bit bad, but, the people on the right, the conservatives, they are the real bad guys, which is true. I mean, I agree with, I certainly think that there's worse people out there than Ethan, of course. There's people who think all gay people are groomers and pedophiles and blah blah blah, and they hate them and they would like to get rid of them. And that's obviously disgusting, that's unacceptable. But with this with this kind of thoughts, the thing that happens is that nothing matters anymore, right? Because there's always going to be something worse. Because if we use the same logic, then there's people that are worse than David Dobrik. There's people that are worse than Trisha. There's people that are worse than James Charles and even Kimstar. Because of course there are. I mean, there's criminals, there murderers, there's people who assay other people, I don't know, kidnappers, war criminals and stuff. There's always going to be worse, but does this mean that we cannot criticize anything in between? Does this mean that anything less than pure, evil is okay? I don't think so. And I hate the word gaslight because it's such a bad word, but buzzword. It has become such a buzzword, but I do think that it's fitting in this context. I do think that Ethan was trying to gaslight his audience, and I think that all this, whataboutism and just manipulation, I didn't like it. I felt like my intelligence was being, insulted. Honestly, I felt insulted because we are evolved creatures and we are able to have more than two thoughts at once, and we can think that two things are bad at once. We don't just think one person in the world is bad at a time, and we are able to have nuance, thoughts and opinions. So you can think that this situation was bad without having to think that Ethan is the worst and Ethan is a homophobe or whatever. Okay, my mom just started hanging up pictures. Anyway, so the bottom line is that this attitude towards criticism, the way that Ethan just seems to not be able to take it at all, just change his opinions at all, has been really bugging me, and it has brought me to unsubscribe from the channel, which I am quite bummed about it. Honestly, I'm sad because I love the podcast, as I said. I just really enjoyed listening to it, and I still really love the crew. It's sad that it seems that they are just spiraling, or Ethan is spiraling towards just being frankly unlikable person, which you kind of need to be likable to have an audience. This is really even about being problematic, because I don't know, it seems pretty basic to me that to keep an audience you maybe need to not shit on them and insult them and manipulate them and stuff like that. It seems like very basic stuff. Oh, and another thing that bugged me is that he and Dan started talking about how this stuff is just too woke whiplash, and this woke Twitter stuff is just getting out of hand. People are too sensitive, and it's like, excuse me, if you think that making fun of gay men is too woke, I have news for you. This is very ground level stuff. This is very basic stuff that I would say most people were not, in that, let's say, who consider themselves liberal and left leaning. No, okay. Of course, he comes from a very different just way of life. I don't know what to call it. I mean, yeah, is not part of the LGBT community, and he clearly is uneducated on a lot of stuff. And this attitude of just refusing to learn because it's just woke stuff that basically doesn't matter is annoying to me. Like, bro, do you even know like the stuff that ContraPoints got cancelled for? Like, and you think this is woke whiplash? Like, bro, when he finds out that trans people exist, damn, his mind is going to be blown. When he finds out that, I don't know, like, I don't even know. Like, to me, the stuff that is really just quote unquote too woke, I guess, it's like the certain discourse that if you're part of this, community, you probably can think of a few examples, the kind of stuff that just exists online that in the daily life outside of the internet of most queer people just is not relevant, and it's just a discourse on the internet that people fight about sometimes, but it's not really relevant as a matter of fact. But this is just not it. Like, the Ethan thing is not it. To me, that's just very basic stuff. And then if you want to be an edgelord and make fun of gay people because you're a comedian and you're just like Chris Rock, you just want to state your piece and not be called out for it, that's just not feasible. I'm afraid, like, sure, no one should slap you, but the fact that you feel so above criticism of any kind is really bugging me, especially when he wants to have a certain kind of audience, but then he's not prepared to actually hear them out, right? Because you kind of need to find your place in this ecosystem where he used to be a very anti-SJW, which I thought that he changed, and I know he changed for sure for some things because I've seen the podcast. I mean, I know his stance on other things and I appreciate it, but in this particular instance, this was just not it. I don't know, if it's the biases, if he's having just a rough time outside, in his private life, I don't know, but just the way that he's been acting lately is just bad vibes, and I do hope that they can, get back from this and like actually grow and actually learn and actually change for the better, because like I said, I do love this podcast, and I feel if I could get back to listening to it, having the same love and enjoyment and good vibes that I had before, I would love it. And that's also why I am expressing criticism, because I want them to do better. But it seems that with the way things are headed now, it's just not happening. And the very latest I guess update of this whole situation is that Ethan has said in the most recent podcast, which I have not watched, but I did watch this highlight. He said that he lost his sponsors because of the situation with the gay jokes. And another thing that was quite weird is that he blamed his fans. What? I don't know, like, aren't your fans the reason why you have like an audience in the first place, and why you are able to live the way that you live, have the money that you have, and even had gotten those sponsors in the first place? I don't know, it's so wild that he blamed his fans. It just seems like it's constant gaslighting, and it seems like he is trying to bring his audience to the point of just apologizing for even criticizing him, or thinking that he did any wrong at all, you know? Like, how dare we think that, and look what we did, it's all our fault. And that's just not it. I think that's just the consequences of his action. I think it was a bit too much to lose all his sponsors, but they'll come back. I mean, David Dobrik has sponsors, surely James Charles has sponsors, and I don't know why I am just able to think of those two right now, but you know, I guess they are, you know, a prime example of you know, as long as you have clout, you'll have sponsors and money. And they do have the members, you know, which are for sure a stream of revenue, but they have been losing subscribers for sure, and this leads me to think that maybe other people have the same opinions as me and the same feelings, and that's pretty much who I would like to reach. I don't know if I have said this already, I'm sorry if I keep repeating myself, but I do not have a script, and this is my first time making something like this. But yeah, I would honestly just, if this video reaches anyone at all, I would like it to reach other fans. I am not, like I said, I don't want to be grouped with people who hate the podcast, like Keemstar fans, or like, I don't know, Jordan Peterson fans. I like those people. I like those people even less, or I don't like those people at all. I do like Ethan, but I think he fucked up, and you know, it's gotten to the point where, you know, it's fucked up a bit too much this time for me to keep supporting the podcast, but I am open to change, let's say. But I am definitely not on the same boat as, you know, people on the right or conservatives or like people like that. Just please don't even bother me. Like, I don't care. I would mostly just like to have a discussion with other fans who maybe feel like I do, and who feel maybe a bit, you know, maybe not betrayed, but just let down, just sad that, you know, things have gotten to this point where I feel like it could have easily been avoided, just with an apology and just moving on. Like, was it so hard? I don't know. This just makes me think of the Macbeth quote. Macbeth quote. You know, the pride comes before the fall, and that's what I will close this video on. Pretty cringe, but that's okay because I don't think anyone will watch it. It's gone pretty long. Wow, I had a lot of thoughts, I guess. I don't know. Well, bye. Have a good day. Bye.